it is time for another Wild Wednesday, and joining us today is Katy Carchedi, and we have Calvin.
Yes, we do have Calvin.
And she is beautiful, but I like my distance.
That's
from
okay.
her.
So Calvin is a milk snake, and so these can be found all over the country, and their patterns kind of tell us where they are from a little bit, because if they have this striped pattern, they live in the same area as a coral snake, which is venomous. But for her stripes, it's white, black, red. For a coral snake, the white and the red would be next to each other. So she's not venomous, she's super safe. She can get a little squirmy though.
Yeah. So why do they kind of form these adaptations where they mimic poisonous snakes?
Sure. So it's found all throughout nature. And so it just deters predators a little bit. They can't tell the difference between the order of colors, but they see those warning colors. We see it with monarch butterflies and viceroy butterflies, as well as the bright colors of poison dart frogs and things like that.
Okay. And if you see closely, I mean, the tongue. So what does that kind of help them do with the tongue
she
sticking out
is
like
just exploring right now. Yeah. So she has her scent in the top of her mouth. And so she has a Jacobson's organ. So she waves her tongue in the air. I'm sorry. She was her. She waves her tongue in the air, collects it, and it goes to the top of her mouth. And that helps her with hunting and just understanding her environment, and it does have two edges, so she gets the most air possible.
Yeah, and you said they're pretty squirmy and they can move pretty fast.
Yes,
so talk about that.
Yeah, they're super
I'm a little
fast.
scared.
So Calvin is a little bit of an older animal. She's around 20 years old, and so she just gets short bursts of energy. But we have a younger one at the zoo who's about 10, and he zooms, and so that also helps them in the wild to stay safe and to catch their prey. They are a snake that will chase after them rather than wait for them to get there.
Oh, great. Okay, good to know. I love that. How many other snakes are kind of like that? Is that pretty rare, common?
It depends on where they are and where they live. Okay. And so if you have a snake that is more of a predator that can actively move, they are going to chase. But we have some sand boas at the zoo who sit under the sand all day long and wait for food to come to them. Okay. Another way you can tell, not super scientifically based, but observationally, is if they have heat pits on the front of their mouth, and that helps them see warmth as it passes by. And so if you have a snake with those heat pits, they're usually going to wait rather than ones that chase. They don't have those.
Yeah, and what does Calvin eat?
Calvin eats mice at the zoo, but she is going to eat anything that's about this big or smaller. She does have to swallow it in one bite, and so it can fit inside of her small head because she can move a jaw bone to stretch all over it. But they don't need to eat super often. At the zoo, she gets fed every about 10 days. Okay. In the wild, they can go 6 months without eating.
Okay, and what's her kind of natural habitat?
She is going to be more of a desert animal. She is a Puebloan milk snake, so southwestern United States and Mexico. But we actually have milk snakes here in South Dakota on the western part of the state, so Chamberlain and West, so you're good here in Sioux Falls.
Okay, great to know. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. And if people want to meet her, how can they do so?
So Calvin goes on a lot of zoomobiles. We have another one at the zoo named Hobbs, and you'll see him a bit more on grounds with our junior zookeepers. We have creature features twice a day, and then we're going to a lot of libraries this year, so check your local libraries to see when we'll visit.
Awesome. Well, thanks again,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we'll be right back after the break.